The invasion. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, there existed a mighty race known as the Zorgans. With technology far surpassing anything known to most sentient species, they had long ago shed their physical limitations. Their towering cities, powered by the energy of stars themselves, stood as glimmering beacons of their advancement. Discovery of Earth. It was during a routine survey of an unremarkable spiral arm that the Zorgans first discovered Earth. Their long-range sensors detected radio signals emanating from the small blue planet, hinting at the presence of a pre-spacefaring civilization. Intrigued, the Zorgans dispatched a research vessel to investigate. As the ship entered Earth's orbit, the Zorgans were amazed by the planet's vibrant biosphere. Lush forests, sprawling oceans, and diverse wildlife covered the surface. However, their amazement quickly turned to disdain as they observed the dominant species, the humans, primitive primates. To the Zorgans, with their galaxy-spanning empire and godlike technology, the humans appeared as little more than primitive primates. They still burned fossil fuels, fought petty wars among themselves, and had only taken tentative steps off their world. In the eyes of the Zorgans, they were insects, barely worth noticing. But the Zorgan commander saw an opportunity. Earth was rich in the raw materials needed to fuel the ever-expanding Zorgan Empire. The humans, with their primitive weapons and divided nations, would be powerless to resist. The commander gave the order, and the invasion began. The conquest of Earth. Giant Zorgan harvester ships descended from the sky, darkening the heavens like a biblical plague. The humans, at first confused, quickly turned to panic as the alien vessels disgorged armies of robotic soldiers. The Zorgan troops, each one armed with weapons capable of leveling cities, marched across the land, claiming all in the name of the Empire. The human militaries fought back, bravely but futilely. Tanks and fighter jets proved useless against the Zorgans' energy shields and plasma cannons. In mere days, the world's major cities fell. New York, London, Moscow, Beijing reduced to smoldering ruins. Government leaders were captured or went into hiding. Anarchy reigned, harvesting the planet. With the humans subdued, the Zorgans began their real work, the systematic stripping of Earth's resources. Entire landscapes were consumed by the harvester ships, leaving barren wastelands in their wake. Mountains were leveled, oceans drained, forests incinerated. The humans could only watch in horror as their once verdant world was reduced to a lifeless husk. Those humans who survived the initial onslaught were rounded up and herded into labor camps. There, they were forced to aid in the dismantling of their own civilization, working until they collapsed from exhaustion. The Zorgans, in their arrogance, saw this as the natural order. To them, the strong dominated the weak, and in the galactic scheme, the humans were the weakest of all. But even as the yoke of oppression settled across Earth, a spark of defiance still smoldered in the human heart. In the ruins of their cities, in the depths of the labor camps, a resistance was forming. The humans, though outmatched and overshadowed, were far from defeated. They would fight, they would adapt, and they would survive. For that was the true strength of humanity, an indomitable will that even the might of the Zorgans could not extinguish. The invasion was only the beginning. The true struggle was yet to come. Resistance. In the wake of the Zorgan invasion, Earth lay in ruins. The great cities, once gleaming monuments to human ingenuity, now stood as crumbling tombstones, silent testaments to the fall of civilization. But amidst the ashes, a flicker of hope still burned. The underground. In hidden bunkers and secret tunnels, the remnants of humanity gathered. They were a ragtag bunch, soldiers, scientists, civilians, united by a single purpose, to resist the Zorgan occupation. They called themselves the Underground. Leading the Underground was General Maria Alvarez, a battle-hardened veteran of the initial invasion. Under her guidance, the resistance began to take shape. They started small, sabotaging Zorgan equipment, intercepting supply convoys, gathering intelligence. Each small victory brought them one step closer to their ultimate goal, the liberation of Earth. Guerrilla warfare. The Zorgans, for all their technological might, were unprepared for the tenacity of human resistance. The underground fighters, using hit-and-run tactics and intimate knowledge of the terrain, struck at the aliens where they were weakest. Zorgan patrols were ambushed in narrow canyons, their robotic soldiers destroyed by improvised explosives. Mining operations were raided, the precious resources stolen back for the human cause. These victories, though small, began to mount. The Zorgans, frustrated by their inability to quash the rebellion, responded with increased brutality. Labor camps became death camps. Entire villages were massacred for the actions of a few rebels. But for every atrocity, 10 more humans took up arms. The resistance grew, fed by the fires of oppression. The Science Division. While the fighters battled on the front lines, another war was being waged in the shadows. In hidden laboratories, the underground Science Division worked tirelessly to unravel the secrets of Zorgan technology. Led by the brilliant Dr. Talia Singh, they reverse-engineered captured alien devices, seeking to turn the invaders' own weapons against them. It was grueling work, filled with setbacks and frustrations. The Zorgan science was centuries ahead of anything on Earth, but the human scientists persevered, driven by a desperate need to level the playing field. And slowly, piece by piece, they began to make breakthroughs. The first victory. The underground's chance came at the Battle of New Chicago. The Zorgans, seeking to make an example of the rebellious city, sent a massive force to crush the resistance there. General Alvarez, seeing an opportunity, set a trap. As the Zorgan troops entered the city, they were met by a wall of defiance. Every street, every building was a fortress manned by human fighters. And for the first time, these fighters were armed with weapons that could pierce Zorgan armor, energy rifles, and plasma grenades, reverse-engineered by the Science Division. The battle was long and bloody, but in the end, the humans triumphed. The Zorgan forces, their aura of invincibility shattered, retreated in disarray. New Chicago became a beacon of hope, a symbol that the aliens could be beaten. But the war was far from over. The Zorgans, enraged by this defeat, doubled down on their oppression. And the underground, though emboldened by their victory, knew they were still outmatched. They needed more than a few stolen weapons. They needed a plan to take the fight to the Zorgans. They needed to find a way to strike at the heart of the alien empire itself. For in the depths of space, whispers had begun to circulate of other human colonies, seeded long ago on distant worlds. If these colonies could be reached, if they could be rallied to the cause, then perhaps, just perhaps, humanity stood a chance. The resistance had given them hope, but the true fight for survival was just beginning. Exodus. The victory at New Chicago had given humanity a glimmer of hope, but it was a fleeting one. The Zorgans, enraged by the defiance of their insect slaves, unleashed a new wave of terror upon the earth. Cities that had been left standing were razed to the ground. The labor camps transformed into extermination centers. It became clear to the leaders of the resistance that Earth was no longer sustainable. If humanity was to survive, they needed to leave. The colony ships. The plan was audacious, a last-ditch effort to save what remained of the human race. Using technology reverse-engineered from the Zorgans, the Science Division had developed a new kind of spacecraft. The colony ship. These massive vessels, each capable of carrying thousands of people, were designed for a single purpose: to carry humans to new worlds, far beyond the reach of the Zorgans. Building the ships was a monumental task. Under the constant threat of Zorgan attacks, the resistance workers labored day and night in hidden shipyards, piecing together the giant craft from whatever materials they could scavenge. Powered by fusion reactors and equipped with experimental warp drives, the colony ships represented humanity's greatest technological achievement and its only hope for survival. The Great Escape. As the ships neared completion, the resistance launched a series of coordinated attacks against the Zorgans, aiming to distract and confused the aliens while the evacuations began. Fighters launched daring raids on Zorgan command centers, while saboteurs disrupted supply lines and communication networks. Amidst the chaos, the first of the colony ships lifted off, rising from the ruins of Earth like a phoenix from the ashes. On board were the best and brightest of humanity: scientists, engineers, artists, and thinkers, along with a precious cargo of seeds, embryos, and DNA samples, the building blocks of a new civilization. But the Zorgans were quick to react. As more ships launched, the aliens sent wave after wave of attack craft to shoot them down. The skies above Earth became a battlefield, lit by the fires of exploding ships and the glow of energy weapons. Many colony ships were destroyed, their precious cargo lost forever. But some made it through, vanishing into the depths of space. Left behind. For those left behind, the situation was grim. The Zorgans, now aware of the human plan, tightened their grip on the planet. The resistance, depleted by the evacuations, found itself outmatched and outgunned. Many fighters, choosing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good, launched suicidal attacks against the aliens, hoping to buy more time for the colony ships to escape. In the end, only a fraction of humanity managed to flee Earth. Billions were left to face the wrath of the Zorgans. But those who escaped carried with them the hope of the species. They set course for the distant stars, each ship heading for a different destination, spreading humanity across the galaxy like seeds on the wind. A new beginning. As the last of the colony ships disappeared into the void, a strange silence fell over the Earth. The Zorgans, their slaves now gone, had no reason to stay. They stripped the planet of its remaining resources and left, moving on to new conquests. Earth, once the cradle of humanity, was now a barren, lifeless rock. But somewhere out there, the colony ships sailed on, each one a tiny spark of human civilization. The challenges they faced were immense: new worlds to tame, societies to build, a species to rebuild. But the humans were no longer the weak, primitive creatures the Zorgans had once dismissed. They had been forged in the fires of adversity, tempered by the struggle for survival. In the depths of space, a new chapter of human history was beginning. The Zorgans had taught humanity a bitter lesson, that the galaxy was a harsh and unforgiving place. But they had also shown them the power of unity, of determination, of the indomitable human spirit. And with that knowledge, humanity would rise again, stronger than ever before. The exodus was over. The true story of humanity was about to begin. Survival. Across the vast expanse of the galaxy, the human colony ships emerged from their long journeys. Each had been aimed at a different star, a different potential new home for humanity. As the ships descended towards these unknown worlds, the colonists could only wonder what challenges lay ahead. Harsh new worlds. The planets they found were harsh and unforgiving. Some were scorched wastelands, others frozen tundras. A few had toxic atmospheres or crushing gravity, but all were inhospitable to human life in their own unique ways. On Kepler 452 bits, renamed New Eden by the colonists, the settlers found a world of dense jungles and towering mountain ranges. The air was thick and humid, the vegetation alien and often poisonous. Strange predators stalked the forests, seeing the humans as easy prey. On Proxima Centauri, now known as Avalon, the colonists faced a world locked in an eternal ice age. Temperatures rarely rose above freezing, and fierce blizzards scoured the landscape. Food was scarce, and staying warm was a constant struggle. Adapting to survive. But the humans were no strangers to adversity. On each world, they set to work, using the advanced technology they had brought with them to tame the hostile environments. On New Eden, they built sealed habitats to protect against the poisonous air and vicious wildlife. They learned to cultivate the few edible plants and to hunt the less dangerous creatures. Slowly, they carved out a foothold in the jungle. On Avalon, they constructed vast underground cities, heated by geothermal energy. They drilled through the ice to reach hidden lakes and genetically engineered crops that could withstand the cold. In time, they even learned to domesticate some of the hardier local fauna. Divergent paths. As the colonies grew and prospered, they began to develop along different paths. Cut off from each other by the vast distances of space, each colony was forced to find its own way. The people of New Eden, constantly battling against the dangers of their world, became a society of warriors and hunters. They valued strength and courage above all else, and their leaders were chosen from the bravest and most skilled. On Avalon, where survival depended on careful planning and resource management, a more ordered society emerged. Scientists and engineers were revered, and decisions were made by a council of the most intelligent and farsighted. The plan. As the colonies grew in strength, so too did their ambition. No longer content to hide in the shadows, they began to plan for the future, a future where humanity would retake its place among the stars. At the center of this plan was Earth. The homeworld, lost so long ago, still held a powerful symbolic value for all humans. It was decided that Earth would be the first target, a strike against the heart of the Zorgan Empire, to show the galaxy that humanity was back and ready to fight. Preparations began in earnest. The best soldiers from each colony were brought together, forming an elite force known as the Phoenix Legion. Equipped with the most advanced technology humanity had to offer, they would spearhead the assault on Earth. The eve of battle. On the eve of the attack, a sense of anticipation hung over the human worlds. In every city, in every outpost, people gathered to hear the words of their leaders, words of courage, of determination, of the unbreakable human spirit. Among the Phoenix Legion, a similar mood prevailed. They knew the risks, knew that many of them would not return, but they also knew what they were fighting for. The future of their species, the chance to reclaim what had been lost. As the final preparations were made and the ships readied for departure, a single thought echoed in every human heart. The time had come. The Zorgans had once dismissed them as mere insects. Now they would learn the true power of the swarm. Humanity was rising, and the galaxy would tremble before its might. Retribution. The day of reckoning had come. Across the galaxy, the ships of the human alliance converged, forming a vast armada the likes of which the universe had never seen. At the forefront was the Phoenix Legion, the elite warriors chosen to lead the assault on Earth. As the fleet approached the solar system, they were met by the Zorgan defenses. Massive battleships, each one dwarfing the largest human vessel, moved to intercept, their weapons charging with ominous energy. The battle begins. The first volley was fired by the Zorgans, a barrage of plasma bolts and graviton pulses that ripped through space towards the human fleet. But the Alliance ships were ready, their shields absorbing the brunt of the assault, and their own weapons answering in kind. The battle that followed was like nothing any human had ever experienced. Ships clashed in titanic duels, their hulls buckling under the strain of the advanced weaponry. Fighters swarmed like angry hornets, engaging in desperate dogfights among the larger vessels. At the heart of the battle was the Phoenix Legion, their ships cutting through the Zorgan lines like a spear. They were the best of the best, each one a veteran of 100 battles, and their skill and determination showed in every move they made, turning the tide. But for all their bravery, the humans were still outmatched. The Zorgans had the advantage of numbers and technology, and they pressed it mercilessly. One by one, the human ships began to fall, gutted by enemy fire or consumed by the explosive decompression of ruptured hulls. It seemed that the assault would fail, that the dream of reclaiming Earth would die here among the stars. But the humans would not accept defeat. With a fierce cry that echoed across the comm channels, they rallied for one final push. Leading the charge was the Phoenix One, the flagship of the Legion. Battered but unbroken, it plunged into the heart of the Zorgan formation, its weapons blazing with righteous fury. Other ships followed, their crews inspired by the example of their leaders. Against all odds, they broke through. The Zorgan line shattered, their ships scattering before the human onslaught. And there, shining like a beacon ahead, was Earth. The final assault. The Phoenix Legion descended on the planet like avenging angels. They targeted the great Zorgon towers that had once stripped the world of its resources, reducing them to molten slag. They hunted down every alien soldier and machine, determined to cleanse their homeworld of the invaders. The Zorgons fought back with the fury of a cornered beast. In the ruins of the great cities, in the scorched wastelands and poisoned seas, the battle raged. Humans and Zorgons clashed in brutal, hand-to-hand combat, neither side giving quarter. But in the end, the human spirit proved stronger, driven by the memories of all they had lost, by the hope of all they could regain. The soldiers of the Phoenix Legion fought with a ferocity that even the Zorgons could not match. Victory. With a final, desperate stand, the last of the Zorgon forces were defeated. Earth was free, the alien yoke thrown off after centuries of oppression. Across the planet, the news spread like wildfire. Humanity had won. Against all odds, against an enemy that had once seemed invincible, they had triumphed. In the aftermath of the battle, as the smoke cleared and the wounds began to heal, the true scale of the victory became clear. The Zorgon Empire, weakened by the loss of Earth, began to crumble. One by one, their subject worlds rose up in rebellion. Inspired by the example of humanity, the Human Alliance stood ready to aid these rebellions, sharing the technology and knowledge they had gained. A new era was dawning, an era in which the galaxy would no longer be ruled by fear and oppression, but by cooperation and mutual respect. A new beginning. For the humans, the reclamation of Earth was only the beginning. There was much work to be done. Cities to be rebuilt, ecosystems to be restored, a society to be reimagined. But they faced these challenges with the same determination and unity that had carried them to victory. They had proven, beyond any doubt, that they were not insects to be trodden underfoot. They were survivors, warriors, explorers, and innovators. They were the inheritors of the stars, and they would shape the future of the galaxy. As the Alliance ships took off from the surface of Earth, carrying the tales of their triumph to the far corners of the cosmos, a new chapter in human history began. Forged in the crucible of war, tempered by centuries of struggle, humanity had emerged stronger than ever before. And watching from the stars above, the spirits of all those who had fought and died for this moment looked down with pride. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. The legacy of Earth, the spirit of humanity, would endure.